Gunshots rang out this morning at the U.S. Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., killing several people and injuring many others. At least 12 people have been killed at the Naval Sea Systems Command headquarters, including a D.C. police officer and another law enforcement officer, according to D.C. Mayor Vincent Gray earlier this afternoon. The Navy Yard was established back in 1799 and is the oldest Navy installation. It's the residence of the Chief of Naval Operations, and it's responsible for weapons development, among other functions. There are about 16,000 civilian and military employees who work in the complex, with 3,000 employees in that specific building. And the yard has about 2.2 million square feet of office space in total. Now, President Obama addressed this tragedy in a speech that he gave this afternoon.
We are confronting yet another mass shooting, and today it happened on a military installation in our nation's capital. It's a shooting that targeted our military and civilian personnel. These are men and women who were going to work, doing their job, protecting all of us.
So what happened today at the U.S. Navy Yard? Well, RT Sam Sachs is there right now with the latest. Sam, what is the latest that you're hearing about the number of victims and the gunmen who perpetrated this attack?
Right, well, the latest numbers are the same what you had there. We have 12 fatalities that we know of. That includes one shooter. Now, the Navy Yard is about 3 blocks that way on the right side there. It's an old building. It's been here since 1799, as you said. But back to the shooting. We have 12 fatalities, including the shooter. Now, police a little bit ago said that they were looking for 2 potential suspects, a white male and a black male wearing military-style uniforms. We now know they've identified the white male, and he's no longer a suspect. But police are still telling people around the area here to stay indoors, as there might be someone still on the loose who might be responsible for this shooting. But still very active investigation. The street is still closed down. You still hear helicopters going around, police cars driving back and forth around here.
And have any of the employees that work there been able to leave, or are they on lockdown? I know that at some point they were on lockdown.
Right, so about an hour ago, we started seeing a steady stream of people walk from the Navy Yard this way. These are people who were in the building at the time of the shooting, were told to stay in place, and they were in place for about 8 hours. We've had a chance to talk to a few of them. You know, this is a pretty large building, so a lot of people were in buildings that weren't necessarily where the shooting was, but they said that they're tired, they were scared. A lot of people said, though, that people were calm. They weren't sure what was going on while the shooting started taking place. But many are just relieved to be alive and now be able to leave their place of work about, as I said, 8 hours after the shooting took place this morning.
And Sam, we do have a picture of the suspect I think we're going to put up there. Did anybody talk to you about perhaps seeing this person before? I believe his name was Aaron. I'm not sure what his affiliation was with the Navy Yard. Do you know anything about him specifically?
Right. Well, there's the reports that Aaron Alexis is the guy's name, a 34-year-old from Fort Worth, military contractor. I've talked to a few eyewitnesses. Nobody actually saw the shooter, but I talked to one man, a commander here in the Navy by the name of Tim Gyrus, who was there, and a person he was standing next to was actually shot in the head. I believe we have tape, actually, of him telling his story.
So in the military in general, in the Navy, we're trained for combat operations away from here. You know, we're the away team. We go off and fight other wars in other locations. We don't do it here. So seeing somebody die in front of you here where you work at is more of a relationship of you talking to God, or you realizing just how fragile life is and how random it is and how quickly you're here and you're not. Because it could have easily been me, the guy who got hit.
What's interesting here is this is a very This is a very secure building, the Navy Yard here, and you need special clearance cards just to be able to get in. And once you go through security, you don't have to go through additional security. You don't have to go through a metal detector or anything. I talked with one man who works in the building. He said that occasionally they do random searches of people, which is, I guess, supposed to deter people from bringing weapons. But the only people he ever saw armed in the building were security for the building and certain law enforcement officers that work in the Navy Yard as well. So exactly how this person was able to get clearance into the building is still up for question. But once you have that key card, you can see how someone can gain access access to the building with a weapon. But these are all questions that still need to be answered.
Sure. And Sam, you have been there all day since the morning. I believe the attack took place at 8:30 in the morning. Tell us about some of the eyewitness accounts that you've been able to gather while being there.
We spoke with one woman. She was in the cafeteria. So when you walk in, there's kind of an atrium in this building, and you look up and there's all the floors. And what eyewitness reports are saying is that there was a shooter on what appears to be the 4th floor shooting down into the atrium, into the cafeteria below. A woman said she heard 7 shots and went running to a secure area and then was able to leave the building. Mr. Jairus, who we just heard from, he went out into an alleyway when he heard the initial shots, and that's where he was standing next to someone who was shot from the building in the alleyway there. So there's eyewitness reports going around, but everybody has their own vantage point depending on what building and what they saw as the shooting unfolded.
And Sam, do we know anything at this point about motive? There have been reports that this may have been a disgruntled employee or 2 employees or however many the number is at this point. Is there reason to believe that there's a larger motive at hand here, though?
It's unclear. I mean, there's no word yet of a motive. Now, the Navy's, the shipyard here, this is mainly for shipbuilding acquisitions. It's not exactly a sensitive Navy command center or anything like that. It does house a lot of administrative people with the Navy, and it mainly houses a lot of contractors like this guy, if he is indeed the shooter, is. So it's still really unclear as to what might have caused all this violence this morning.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for all of your insight. We'll get a follow-up report from you later, I'm sure. Thank you so much, RT's Sam Sachs.